Well, Lifeline has today launched its largest ever fundraising campaign. Lifeline for Lifeline calls on Australians to donate to the service today, the 1st of November, and help the Crisis Support Service answer the 1 million calls for assistance it receives annually. I'm a Lifeline ambassador. I'm joined by a fellow Lifeline ambassador here, and John Brogden in the studio. Great to see you.
Lovely to see you.
This is such an important cause. It's something that's so important that we feel so passionately about, both of us. How much money does Lifeline need, and what is it for?
Well, we receive, as you said, 1 million telephone calls a year. It's an incredible figure. I mean, that demonstrates the importance of what we do, but also demonstrates the need in the community for people who are in crisis and at risk of suicide to reach out and get some help at a very difficult time in their lives. So we receive 1 million telephone calls a year. The hard facts, Laura, are that we only answer 850,000 of them. So we need money to fill that gap. We get well funded from the federal government and from most of the state governments around the country. We've got good corporate supporters, we've got good individual supporters, but we need more so we can answer more calls. So
850 calls are only answered, so many people are just calling in. These numbers are ringing out, and they're usually at times of crisis when they're making these calls.
Yeah, they'll stay on hold. Many will hang up and ring back, thankfully.
Yep.
But we want to be able to answer 100% of our calls. It's hard to get volunteers to volunteer on a Sunday afternoon. It's family time, it's friends time, it's recreation time.
Can people volunteer their time as well?
They can absolutely volunteer. We train them up well. You do. We need to train people. They're dealing with very difficult issues with people in great distress. But we're also about to move into text counselling. So just as it was radical in 1963 when we started on telephones, now we're moving into text counselling, which for young people who text more than they talk will provide them with a service. So we want to be able to properly service as many people who need us through whatever technology they choose to use.
We speak a lot on air and off air, and I feel like there is a bit of a fatigue when it comes to talking about, suicide, to be honest. We're talking about facts and figures all the time and how bad the situation is. 8 people a day in Australia, many more attempting suicide. We need something radical here, don't we?
Well, in the last 3 years, the number of Australians committing suicide has increased by 20%, from 2,500 to about 3,000. It should be going the other way. That's what breaks my heart. We want to see suicide reducing in Australia. One thing I've advocated for, it's controversial, is just as you here on Sky and right across the news sector report the road toll on a daily basis, I think we should report the suicide toll on a daily basis. And I think, Laura, if the people watching you today saw regularly how many people died, I think, from suicide, which is 3 times as many as who die on the roads, as a graphic example of what we're talking about here, I think people would say, we need to get much more engaged in this. We need more solutions to help save the lives of people who are at such a desperate point of their life.
Absolutely radical that would be, and it would be a stark reminder, a depressing reminder. Often the media standards are that we tend to report suicide in a way that's, there were no suspicious circumstances.
Yes, yeah.
And some experts say it's for fear of some copycat changes, but is that right?
The guidelines are pretty good, and the media, by and large, are pretty good at the way in which they deal with them. So there's nothing wrong with saying that so-and-so died by suicide. There's absolutely nothing wrong with saying that. What we don't do is talk about the means by which they died, because that can be a copycat. Just as we report how somebody died in a road accident, we don't say what they died from in the road accident, we just say they died in a road accident. So if we adopt the same standard, we can talk about suicide, and if you don't talk about it, we'll never deal with it.
John Brogden, it's a pleasure to see you, and
great to see you.
Great to talk to you.
And thanks for your support.
Thank you. The numbers on the screen that you need to know, Lifeline there in the middle, 13 11 14. A quick break here on Newsday. When we return, the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement address the National Press Club. We'll bring you that live here on Sky News.